Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. We're now on season 2, episode 4. My name is Grace Zichawo, and I'll be your host today. I'm a certified etiquette and wellness consultant. And today we're talking about mental health, mental wellness, the big topic that we're all going through, and yet we don't really talk about it too much. I'm excited and honored. I'm joined today by 3 amazing people on the panel. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'd just like to introduce and welcome you all individually. Firstly, we've got Fr Stephen Nyoki. He's the registrar at Arrupe Jesuit University. Welcome, Father.
Thank you very much, Grace. I'm very happy to be part of this conversation.
Thank you for joining us. We also have Charmaine Chitiyo. She's a project coordinator and counselor at the Friendship Bench. Welcome, Charmaine.
Thank you so much, Grace, and thank you for having us here today.
Looking forward to a good chat. And we also have Mr. Tony Friday. He's the founder and director at the Global Institute of Emotional Health and Wellness. A good mouthful. Can't wait to unpack that. Welcome, Mr. Tony.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. My first question is, how are you really? Are you okay? Because we go around telling each other that I am fine. But truly, especially some of us as young adults, are we really okay? And are we really fine? And what is mental health? What's our mental health at? Where's our mental wellness? And how is it playing towards our life as we pursue, whether it's our careers, our growth as individuals, as well as in our families? So I'm going to start with you, Fr Stephen, today and say, why are we talking more and more about mental wellness and mental health? How is it becoming so important, especially now?
Well, I think basically we have a lot of young people, a lot of young guys going through stuff. I mean, and exhibiting signals that everything is not well. I mean, you have people having to deal with all sorts of things. And again, more and more, there is more awareness of the fact that mental wellness is important. I think for some time we never really paid attention to that.
Yeah.
But now more and more I think people are beginning to realize that we need that. We need to be in a position whereby we are able to manage what is going on, what is happening in our lives, rather than having to resort to bad issues like suicide and depression and things like that. Because all those are indications that something is not working well, that we are not managing or we are not dealing with issues the way we should.
So we're looking, for example, at patterns in somebody's life, some people that we know. I'm going to talk about people who live with people who may be experiencing mental health. You know, it's someone who used to, love eating. It's someone who used to like interacting with people. When you're having a conversation, they basically spice it up, It's someone who likes to do their work. They enjoy it. They want to achieve. But all of a sudden, they've changed. They don't feel like they're not that person. When you take them out for a meal, they have, they just drink their juice and say, "I'm okay."
Yeah.
Or and I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. If someone is in a conversation and they're just silent, they're not contributing. For us, that's a change in behavior. And even you as an individual, there are times where you really feel that there is something that is not you. Sometimes we throw our word around conversations like, I don't feel like me these days, What does that mean? What do you mean by I don't feel like me? So already you're trying to tell someone that I don't feel that I am okay. But as you were saying earlier, people are very used to just saying, oh, I'm fine, but maybe a second later they say, I really had a bad day yesterday, or I've been having bad days, or I don't feel like doing what I usually like doing. Already they're sending a message. They're telling you. So it's the change in behavior that tells us that someone is not okay.
Yeah. Wow, that's really powerful. Now, how can we navigate so that we get there in a healthy way?
Interesting question. I think the idea of perfection, as we know it in our current society, is very skewed.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of young people, we are trying to do so much, but coming from a place of self-rejection, because we don't understand who we are, first and foremost. So I'll give you an example. Somebody who is not satisfied and content with who they are inside will always try and do things either to achieve something, or whether it's starting a business, making more money, or losing weight, but all of that is coming from a place of self-rejection. So you say to yourself, I'm not good enough as I am. So I need to be something else or to achieve something else, then I can be acceptable first and foremost to myself and then to other people. So you embark on, setting all these goals, which are fear-driven. But the Bible tells us that, we have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So a lot of us don't understand that we are perfect as we are, and we don't need to be anything else other than who we are, or to achieve anything else other than what we already have. So when you set goals from that point of view, you're not doing it out of fear. You're doing it out of a place of understanding who you are, your identity in Christ. The Bible talks about, being perfect in Christ. So then comes in the pressure to do, and do and do and do, and we glorify the grind, we shouldn't sleep, and then you neglect your mental health because deep inside you hate yourself and you think that you have to be someone else, or look a certain way, or have a certain amount of money, and then I can be acceptable to myself. So there's a lot of mental pressure. So imagine carrying this self-rejection every single day. So you're always under stress because things are not moving as fast as you want them to.
No, I love how you talk about as an individual, you need to accept that you are enough and that you are perfect, but we don't live alone. We live with our parents who have a million expectations. I can tell you all about it. If someone else's child does something, they'll come to you and they'll say, this person did the problem. He said, the gate precious fun.
What I'm truly capable of doing at my own time.
Yeah.
I think that has always been an issue, that when so and so achieves this, you feel the pressure to achieve the same at that same time. Whereas we really have, each young person has to chart their own way.
Yeah.
You cannot live Charmaine's life, for example.
It really makes sense, but the practicality of it is not easy. I mean, we're on our phones the whole time, and every app is showing you what everyone's doing with their life. You can try Instagram, you can try Facebook, even WhatsApp, and it's so easy to open statuses and you see other people progressing forward with their lives. I'll come to you, Charmaine, and I'll say, how then can you use technology in a way that's beneficial? Because I can't throw away my phone. We're in 2021, but then it's like whenever I see my phone, I touch my phone, it's bad news after bad news of other people succeeding, but to me it's almost bad because I feel like I am not going anywhere,
I think one of the most important things about mental health and being an individual is the ability to appreciate uniqueness in you. So even if you are, you're on social media often, and it's the conversations you allow yourself to have on social media. You do have the option to, decide what to follow, decide what to say, decide how to reflect yourself. There are people who reflect themselves badly always because they want to, bring in the goodness that they're seeing from others. But as others are saying, that sometimes you can actually say the good things, the small good things about yourself, So when you present yourself on social media, it's not like you're looking for a way out. You're telling people that I'm unique. I, for example, have my natural hair. Of late, I've seen young girls, wanting to look like, people on social media with the makeup. I know of young women who want to be like other young women who put makeup, but you can actually just present yourself, for example, with your natural hair, with no makeup, and tell the world that this is me and this is who I am. As Father said, you are unique. You are you. You are driving your life, and you can drive it on social media, because the moment I start telling the world that I'm unique and I'm myself, someone is going to see that and someone's going to take it and then start telling themselves as well. They can also present their own uniqueness, so we can use the social media platform to present who we are. And definitely someone on the other side is going to see, and you're going to empower. And with the use of social media or any platform, it's about empowering yourself to empower others, to realize that there is this mental health challenge as a result of what we are seeing, and having conversations with people around you to say what is important to go after on social media, what is not important. Openly talk about it.
Yeah, that's so true. And I do hope we get to a point where young people start using social media to benefit their mental health. Because, well, I'm fortunate to work with students a lot. I tell you, someone will be moody all day, but then that same person will post a happy picture on social media and they get the likes. And I'm like, isn't that a bit messed up? How best can we help this person and make that person aware that you are probably not okay if you can only find smiles after someone has given you some comments on your social media. And when I started this off, we started saying mental health is a cost of success. I want to come to you, Tony, and say, what is success? What does it even mean to be successful? Because our parents have a definition of success, our friends have a definition of success, and it's like precious, giving you definitions of success. Marriage, big house, big family, buy a car. What is success? And if I don't have any of those things, does that mean I'm unsuccessful in my life?
Well, I think that she talked about uniqueness earlier. And I think that, somebody explained it so perfectly, and they said God put a different piece of himself in all of us, all 7 billion of us, right? Yeah. And we're all meant to shine in our different ways. So success should be individual. Success is not a one size, fits all kind of definition. Success is something that you define according to your calling and purpose. So success for someone could be raising her family and looking after them perfectly. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's success for someone. Successful in other situations for someone else could mean, having a certain amount of money. Yeah. For someone, success simply means having a peace of mind, having a comfortable life. So you have to define it according to your own terms. Because if you don't, and you go by the superficial definitions of success, you're always going to be, first and foremost, you are unfulfilled. Yeah. Because it's whatever it is that you achieve, you will always end up empty. Because, how many people can attest to the fact that, you have set out to chase a goal, and then you say, I want to make a certain amount of money, right? Yeah. And then you postpone your happiness, and you say, I will only be happy when I either get married or when I have a certain amount of money, only to get married and realize that you're still not happy because you went by somebody else's definition of what success should be. Yeah. For you, maybe success was ministry in church. Maybe that's the thing that would give you fulfillment. So I would say, define success by your own terms. Only then can you be fulfilled. Yeah.
And it's so liberating. I feel if you truly accept yourself, have a good, healthy, positive self-image, it's as if a weight has been lifted off you from all the expectations and all the definitions of success that people have put to you. And unfortunately, we can't stop people from saying you haven't done this, you haven't done that. But you yourself, you have to be strong enough within yourself to be like, this is my standard, this is my pace, and I truly believe in my journey. And just continue with success, because a lot of it stems from work and from money. Father, what can you say about the importance of work-life balance when it comes to mental health?
Partly, I think there is a misconception in the way we try to create that demarcation between work and life, as if work is not part of my life. I want, when I guess, this should be part of my life. I should be able to do some work and then really focus on me being me. But then, I think more often than not, we think that the quality of my life is going to be determined by the amount of work I do and the amount of money I make. And therefore, when you look at it like that, Grace, the aspect we used to want to call life really suffers. Yes. Because we constantly have to think that, okay, I need to work and work and work and work so that this other aspect of my life can actually move ahead. But if you took that exam and said, okay, for example, like Tony was saying, where I am now in my life, I am okay, I'm happy, I am successful, then work simply becomes part of that, and there is a, if you want, a sort of good balance. I mean, we first think that, okay, let me chase work, let me chase work, let me chase work, let me get as much, and that's the reason why you're talking about work, moving from one grind to another.
Yeah.
Probably find yourself enjoying your work more.
Yeah.
More often than not, we work and work and work, but we are not enjoying the work,
Yeah.
but we are using it as a means towards life.
Yeah.
And often you wonder, as if is there something else that I'm looking for?
Mm.
Is there another life? There's
Yeah.
only this life.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you think about it, many of the young people, even older people, if you drop down dead because you've been working hard, where is your life now? Where is the success?
Yeah.
Where is everything that you
Yeah.
are looking for? So I do feel that, I mean, we need to begin from the redefinition of success and then put that as part, begin to look at my hustle now, the work I'm doing now, as part of my life. There's something that I'm actually enjoying doing.
Yeah.
I honestly feel that if we enjoy what we are doing, whatever it is, then the quality of our life improves, ultimately.
Yeah.
Because you're able to move from your hustle, let's say Charmaine, and then go home and you are really relaxed. You don't have to feel that I've got to carry my work home in order to finish. Because every time we do that, of course, that affects every other aspect of our lives.
Wow.
I mean, we
So
keep
then
doing
I
work,
Yeah.
then what?
So in mental health, there's a very important element of self-care. So self-care is part of taking care of your mental health, and rest is part of self-care. So a lot of people don't realize the importance of resting because they feel they're taking away the time that, as Father is saying, they should be working. Or serving someone, or and it's not even about not rest. And sometimes when we look at, I'm going back to success, trying to link all of this, success should actually then give you an outcome. Most of the time, success doesn't give us outcome because we keep running after it. But outcome is the one that just tells us if someone is successful. And outcome can be in different ways. If you're able to rest for your 8 hours, you're supposed to get 8 hours of rest on a daily basis. That is an outcome of success. Because if I'm able to sleep for 8 hours and not worry that I have to, finish a certain job, then I'm not successful. Because then it's taking away that element in me that will allow me to continue doing something else. Because if you then don't rest, you don't have the energy to continue working tomorrow. You don't have the energy to socialize, to network. Because for you to be successful, you also need to network. But if I go for a meeting with Tony and I'm tired and I'm drowsy, Tony is expecting me to be energetic, how am I going to be successful in that meeting? Because Tony is going to, remember, we also see people in the way they present themselves. If I present to you today with drowsy eyes, yawning 3/4 of the time, you begin to already see, and you may not associate that with tiredness. You may actually think I'm boring you. And then already that conversation, even if it was a business deal, it's already going another direction to say, oh, maybe Charmaine's not even interested in what I'm pitching to her. So let me just drop it. I won't call you back. So that's why it is important to take care of yourself. You can only achieve success if you are also successful in taking care of yourself. So success is not just about the things we hold, tangible elements. It's also success within you. Are you successful enough to take care of yourself? So self-care is very important, and rest is part of self-care.
So that's very, very powerful. And then, Tony, I just want to ask something. So especially a layman, how would they ask? Because if we say work on your physical health, that probably means take your vitamins, exercise. Now, when we say work on your mental health, what does that practically look like?
Great question. So there's a scripture in the Bible that I love. It's Proverbs 4:23. It says, I'm paraphrasing it. It says, guard your heart with all diligence, for all the streams of life flow from it, right? So to put it in another way, it's saying, look after your mind. The Bible says, for I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. So the sound mind is the default. It's what we must always aim for every single day. And you must also watch out for these things in other people, like people around you. If you see people acting agitated, if your child is acting anxious or whatever, then it's time for that conversation. Like, hey, eat healthy, exercise, read books, make time for, don't neglect the spiritual life, because we are spiritual beings. And if you neglect the spiritual being, you will always run into all kinds of problems. So make time for prayer, make time to read the Bible, socialize with other people. Like, you will not believe the power that a simple conversation with someone has. And they don't even have to give you a solution. All they have to do is just listen. All they have to do is just listen. And then you realize after like 30 minutes of conversation, like, they said nothing, but you feel better, So cultivate strong relationships, check on people.
You've said it so well. Yeah. And I'll just definitely come back to you, Father, and say, if we look at church, I've seen people who don't want to go to church because of the comparison factor. Seeing how other people are living their lives, or their lives being compared with people that they grew up with. How can the church be more actively involved, would you say, in nourishing the mental wellness of young adults?
Well, that's a good question. I think there are tools, there are things that you can use within the church. But I think part of the problem is that most young people don't really avail themselves of that.
Yeah,
look,
that's so true.
Universities and colleges have chaplaincies, churches have youth ministries, have peer groups, marriage groups like for the Jesuit. Places where you can go and talk and share yourself without really being judged, being told that you have to become something else. Also places and people whom you can talk in confidence and know that, what you're talking about is about you. And also, apart from that, where you can, like Tony was saying, where you can be nourished spiritually. So that you have that balance between just looking for things outside there and also your own personal spiritual growth.
So true.
Okay, there's a lot of that. Also, there are situations where people can avail themselves for counseling. But then, my sense of this, and I've worked with youth for quite a while, is that, I think many of them are afraid of being labeled. You went to see Father, there must be something, or you went to see a counselor, so there must be something wrong with you, stuff like that. And so that tends to hold us back as youth. To hold the youth back from going there. My appeal or my challenge to, the way I would want to see things is that, I would want probably the youth ministry or those working with the youth within the church to reach out more, to once again go over and say, these things are available. You can have your spiritual growth as a youth. And then, of course, trying to have meaningful conversations about what is happening within us, among us, as youth. What are some of the things that we find boring? Trying to sort of spice it up to make it relevant for their lives. Such that they don't feel like, okay, I went to church today and probably I didn't gain this much, or because stuff like that. But rather trying to have a really vibrant youth focused ministry. Something like this, something like what we are doing now. Whereby a youth and a young adult can feel like, okay, these guys are actually talking about me and talking to me. But from a spiritual point of view, whereby it's not just about how successful you are going to be. How, like, for example, Tony was saying, how your spiritual health is growing. What are you feeding yourself? In order to help yourself grow spiritually. Are you praying? Are you finding are you having any struggles in prayer? Stuff like that. Things that will help you slowly bring yourself to the default, as it says. Whereby you feel at peace. You feel at peace where you are. And whereby prayer doesn't sound to be as if it's something that is done by other people and not me, I'm chasing money or something like that. Whereby you can actually reach a point whereby you can be able to open up to God and to open up to people who can help you. And therefore really find that balance, that equilibrium within yourself, and especially on the spiritual aspect.
So yes, the church needs to reach out, but also the young people, they need to be open and they need to be receptive. Because if you're gonna want help and you need help, you need to also be open to receive it. That's so true. And then I just want to come to you, Charmaine. You do a lot of conversations. If then I see my friend is acting, she's overworking or she's over drinking, she's doing some self-sabotaging things in her life, what's the best way to approach someone?
Okay, thank you, Grace. That's also a very good question, especially when I'm looking at young people and trying to normalize the mental health conversation. You know, I think that's one of the biggest challenges that people have, normalizing the conversation, not talking to me as if you're already pointing out that there's something absolutely wrong with me. So it's about how you start the conversation with me especially young people. One of the things we've realized is going in the spaces where they're comfortable. So for example, with Friendship Bench, we work a lot in the spaces that the youth spend most of their time. You know, Father said it correctly that a lot of young people are not willing to go to the pastor because of stigmatization and labeling. But what we've realized is if you go to a local community center where young people, you know, play sport, or if you're at a university and this is like their social space, you can use that space to have a conversation about mental health. So if you have a friend who's drinking a lot, where are they drinking? You can actually go with them to, you know, maybe you don't drink, but you can take them, which means you need to take the person who's identifying, take yourself away from the things that you feel are not okay about your friend or you don't want to be associated with. Because sometimes we will, you know, reject our friends because now she's drinking so much, so I don't want to be associated with her. But I could actually go in that space where she's drinking and I could start the conversation there, you know, and start seeing what is making her want to drink so much. We start having it's like an inward out kind of approach, you know. So you're not trying to find and point out the bad things in her. You're trying to understand, because for us in mental health, that's not a bad thing. That's something, it's a communication. As I said, any kind of behavioral change is communication. So if I'm able to accept that my friend is doing this because she's communicating with me. So what is important with young people is to sensitize them on these kinds of changes in behavior, number one. Number two, how do you start the conversation with someone who has changed their behavior? Not someone who's doing something wrong, not someone who's doing something bad, but someone who has changed their behavior. How do you start the conversation? You know, you don't start saying, why are you drinking so much? You're embarrassing me. Why are you doing this? You know, you start the conversation in such a way that you start to allow your friend to also realize, because maybe she doesn't even think that she's drinking so much. She thinks it's because she's now normalizing the behavior. It's become part of her. So it's about understanding your friend. And it's a good thing you've identified the change. And if we're going back to, and I like the way you said friend, because we have Friendship Bench and there's a word friend in there. You know, a friend, what is a friend? You know, again, for you with your friend, what are you? If we're saying you're a friend, how are we defining that? So a friend is someone who doesn't judge you. A friend is someone who connects with you, someone who identifies, who can see that you're not okay, who can start an unusual conversation and make it usual. You know, so I would say to young people, be able to talk about the things that you don't normally talk about, because that is where the mental health component is. To say culturally, we've never really been a culture that talks about mental health openly.
You've said a lot. I like how you said, don't victimize the person. So don't attack the behavior. Try your best to find out the why and rather deal with that. What is the problem? What's the root of the problem? Because what now people show is just the fruit. And you can't change an apple tree by removing the apple. You have to go and dig deeper to find out the why. And then, Tony, I just want to ask you, to anybody who's watching this, who's now like, okay, I'm not okay, or I need to do something, I'm not feeling well. What's the best step that you'd give them? Someone who's realized their mental health, wellness needs to be worked on.
If you can feel that you're not yourself, yourself being that default. If you're not peaceful, if you don't have a sound mind, if you're feeling controlled by something other than, you know, the default. It depends on how serious it is, because there's all kinds of, you know, mental health issues. There's stress, toxic stress. There's, you know, anxiety, there's depression, there's, you know, people who are near suicidal, but by far anxiety and depression are some of the most common. So there's different levels of interventions according to the severity of the issue. There are some things that can be solved by talking to a friend. There's some things that can be solved by going to seek a professional, which is why we have organizations like, you know, Friendship Bench, even our organization. You can, you know, make an appointment with a counselor and speak to them. But what I know for sure about the Catholic Church is that, you know, they have a very vibrant support system available already. So scheduling an appointment with Father is a good starting point, because you realize that by having a conversation with someone about your issue. So this is what we do as human beings. Sometimes when you're facing an issue, before you verbalize it, it seems so huge in your mind, because you replay it, and then all of a sudden, when you speak to another human being about it, it kind of shrinks in size. No wonder why they came up with that a problem shared is a problem half solved, because they knew that just by verbalizing an issue, that's a starting point. So it really depends on the severity. If you've come to a point where you've become dysfunctional, you can't work properly, you can't be productive, you can't relate to other normal human beings in a normal way, you just want to be alone, you're even using drugs, you're even thinking about suicide, then you need to seek professional help. But if you just feel like, you know what, you're having one too many bad days, one after the other, then, you know, go speak to that friend, speak to the pastor, speak to the father, because it's only when you have conversations like those, we figure out our own solutions, by the way. But those solutions, sometimes when you sit with someone and they help you see, because you see the thing that is affected when you're not mentally okay is your perception of things. It's not that reality changes, but your perception of reality when you speak to another human being. They show you your problem, but from a different angle. And then you see, my problem is actually not as huge as I think it is, you know? And then from talking to someone, you kind of arrive at your own solution. And then before you know it, the situation sometimes doesn't even change, but you have changed. Your perception has changed. And the situation is still there. You still have that cheating boyfriend or the cheating husband, but you are not as affected by it as you were before. You understand? You have a different way of looking at it. So I would say, you know, the first place is, you know, don't suffer in silence. Speak to someone.
That's a good one. And an illustration that I always love to think of is take yourself out of yourself and look at yourself as someone you love. So look at yourself as your beloved. If your beloved was sick, you would definitely want them to go and seek help. If they were in pain, you'd be hurt and you definitely want them to seek help. So if you are not well, love yourself so much that you do something to do that. Like think of yourself as a little baby. You never let a baby go, work without rest. We can only serve at work, serve in our families, be better friends, better partners if we are well. So we have to work to become well. And then, Father, I just want to find out from you, are there any Ignatian tools that can help when it comes to mental wellness?
Well, I would say there is what we call, for example, accompaniment of the youth. I mean, that's actually one of the things that we are focusing on now. I mean, in the church and also in the Society of Jesus worldwide. I mean, accompanying the youth. I mean, in a way that gives them hope, and that is important in terms of mental health, because I mean, if you take away hope, if you think that there is nothing that is going to happen to you, I mean, nothing better than what is happening, then you are sort of stranded. So there's a lot of in that sense, there's a lot of accompaniment of the youth from the Ignatian point of view. And there's also these days, and we do it actually a lot here at Arrupe Jesuit University, what we call, accompanying youth in accompanying people in daily lives. Having a retreat in daily lives whereby you meet mainly young people, really, because it's the youth trying to accompany other youth. every week you accompany, and they are trained to do that. You accompany one another spiritually so if once the retreat begins, what we call the retreat in daily life, I mean, you are working, you are not taking any time off. You are continuing with your work, but every week you meet someone who shares, or with whom you share what has been going on with you, and who can therefore, from the ignition point of view, help you to sort of process really what you're doing.
That must be nice, yeah.
And just to add on something that Tony was saying, it's not that they are trying to change your life, and it's not that they are giving you actually solutions. It's that they are giving you, if you want, a platform for you to look at your life, to look at the situation, deal with some of the things that you are really going through, and therefore have a sounding board. And therefore, in addition to that, they then give you some guidelines, for example, from the scriptures, from the spiritual aspect, to help you probably look at life or look at things in a different way, or look at the way God looks at you in a different way. Because sometimes we close ourselves up and we think that no one is caring, not even God is bothering about me. Until we actually, like we said, start speaking. Once you start sharing it, especially for the youth, you realize that, okay, I can be helped, or rather, there are other people who are also going through this, and probably what I'm going through is not necessarily the worst thing. Then, I mentioned earlier, there are several ignition groups, one of them being Magis. And that's, again, it's a place where for youth, it's basically for youth really, whereby the youth meet and they share their life, they share their stuff, they are guided by a spiritual person, and they really are able to discuss these things in a very open way. And I think
they do hiking, meetups, and safer days.
Yes. Nice. You can plan all sorts of fun stuff that you want and then enjoy it. But meanwhile, like you were saying, in that normal stuff, in that hiking, then there are conversations taking place.
That's so true.
And you are able to probably hear something you're struggling with being spoken by another person, but in a different way. And you're like, I thought I was the only one going through this. And suddenly it becomes, it's doable, I can live with it.
That's true. And it's so much relatable. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for everything that you've shared. I feel much lighter. I feel at peace. So maybe talking really is a good remedy. Now I want to put you all to the test, and I want to see, are you really walking the talk? I've got a question for all of you. My question is, when you are having a rough day, what practical tools or what practical activities do you do to help yourself? So I'll start with myself, because I genuinely like things. I'll most likely go for a swim, go for a run, or get a massage. Father, what do you do?
I enjoy talking, first of all. I really do have some what I would call really good friends. People I know I can talk to this guy and nothing is going to happen.
Nice.
Just the two of us, and that's it. And then I love sport. I love tennis. So
playing or watching?
Playing.
Playing. Okay.
Finally, hitting the ball. That helps me a lot. It gets me sweating, but it also gets me in a much better mental point actually.
That's powerful, a physical activity to get you in a better mental place. Amazing. Charmaine?
Oh, wow. Well, I love retail therapy. Like that's me. And I'm not even embarrassed or to say it. I love retail therapy, like the smallest thing. I will look for the smallest thing, and so which means I always have to have money to buy. But I love chocolate, and it's okay because a lot of people will say chocolate is bad for you, but because for me it's good for my mental health, because the sugar gives me energy, and I'm happy when I eat chocolate. So that's, an important thing. I'm very adventurous, So I like to do something adventurous always. I was telling, so we have what we call, we have a support group in our organization. It's called Circle Kubata Natose. So we get time to tell each other how we've been feeling, and we might ask a random question like, so tell us what you like doing, something that we don't know. So I said to the group yesterday, I like playing with snakes. They're like, okay. So for me, it's an adventure. It's an adventure for me, because then it's something different. It's something that someone wouldn't. So I looked at your faces when I said that, everyone is like, oh, okay. But for me, those are the things I like, because then they allow me to see life differently. So for me, it's something I do. I mean, I won't play with snakes all the time, but I'm saying I like the adventure because it allows me to think differently than I usually do. And it takes me away from that box that might actually be causing some of the mental instability, but it allows me to see different things, watch animals. So I'll watch a lot of Discovery. I'll watch a lot of, anything that just inspires me to learn more about something I don't know. So yeah.
For me, it's the music. Music is my therapy. Number one. Listening. I'm an old school junkie. I'm stuck in the 80s and 90s. Amazing. So I listen. I have a playlist for every occasion. Trust me. I even have a heartbreak playlist.
Oh wow. Okay.
So for me, it's the music, and then secondly, I read. I read a lot. I have my day starts at 5:30. My first 30 minutes of the day is nothing but reading. I have audiobooks. I have physical books.
I like that, starting the day on your time.
Yes, it's I only switch on my data after 6 when it's not always easy, because the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you want to check your WhatsApp. So for me, it's the music, it's the reading, music, because music triggers memories. And when your mind goes elsewhere, your emotions follow.
That's a good hack of where to take your mind and your emotions. I like that. So there's a lot of ideas you can incorporate. I also love traveling, hiking, adventure, picnics, walks, reading. So yeah, I'd say the takeaway to anybody watching, choose your activity that when I'm feeling low, I'm feeling off, I'm feeling stressed. What can I do that's in my sphere of power and influence to just give myself a boost? Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone. It's been such a good chat. Like I said, I'm feeling lighter, at peace, and I hope you too are. Definitely conversations are so good. Thank you, Fr Stephen, Charmaine, Tony, and from myself, Grace Zichawo. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And don't forget to choose your activity for when you're feeling low. Thank you.